It's just like they say, it's easier to find a job when you have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the sugar world.
Yeah,
always approach this as if you've had a couple of arrangements before, that all those ended, you're starting fresh, you're getting back into it, you're looking for a new arrangement, you're excited, you're experienced, but always come across as, experienced. Just like when we're looking for sugar daddies, most sugar babies will say they're always prefer an experienced SD.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the number one sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Desiree.
The shocking.
Yes, the shocking stories of sugar dating. Lily can never get that right. Well, she got it right a couple times. She always comes up with some cockamamie. I don't know, but I never know where she's going with that. Anyway, I've got Desiree in the house, but we got to take care of some business first, real quick. Sugarpalooza 5. I've actually renamed it the Shakira Experience. I know Lily loves the Shakira Palooza. Call it what you may. Applications are open. Go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and you'll find the party tab. Press on that. All the information about the party and the application is there. I'm telling you what, guys, we have assembled, no disrespect to the other parties because they were amazing, but it just gets better and better. And I'm telling you, the group that is already confirmed for this party, you sugar daddies are going to want to meet these girls. You girls are going to want to meet these girls. Some of them have been to past parties, so we have some experience with them. We know their personalities. They are fantastic. Everybody's going to have such a great time. And we've got a lot of new people. Their video applications were amazing. I'm telling you what, this one is fantastic. You do not want to miss Sugarpalooza 5 if you can make it. Now, I know it falls kind of an odd time because it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday party. But if you're interested, go to the website and you'll find all the information there. Basically, it's 3 days, 2 nights of accommodations. We've got a fun mixer. Again, Bad Brad has got the suite at the W. It's got the original one that we had for Sugarpalooza 3 with a big balcony, and it overlooks the pool. It's really cool. And then we have a mixer or a pre-party at my house before the concert. We've got a huge Greyhound-sized party bus with 2 stripper poles, LED lights, a club music going on that will take us to the concert and back. And then at the concert, we have got 2 private suites next to each other, all you can eat, all you can drink. And it's going to be so much fun. I'm just going to let you know, I'm not afraid to let you know how much just those 2 suites cost. And this is just the beginning of the expenses. But those 2 suites alone were $30,000. So we are really partying up. You guys are going to have a great, great time. This is all free. We are giving this away free to the women. Now, men, there is a cost to you. You guys are sponsoring the party, and we need more of you. So I have room for about 4 or 5 more men, and you don't want to wait. I'm telling you, get in touch with me at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com. We'll get you all the information about the sponsorship of the party. And you're just going to want to meet these great people. They're incredible. And if you're a Patreon member, you get priority status when it comes to judging. And the great thing about being a Patreon member, it's free. Like, we have a free option. I guess kind of like OnlyFans has a free option, but we do actually give you good content for the free people. Not as much as you're going to get as a paid tier member. Now, when you become a tier member, you unlock the entire site. You get the community chat, you get the behind-the-scenes videos and photos. You get information we do not post anywhere except on Patreon. You get to mingle with other members, and then you get to hear all the extra sugars and the episodes before anybody else. And then there's all kinds of other perks that we throw in there. So We'd love for you to become a Patreon member, join the family. We even have coaching and profile reviews. Matter of fact, this morning, as I was driving to the studio, I just looked at an email we got from a new Patreon member who sent her profile in, and we're about to give it a good scrubbing. And, I think she signed up for the $25 a month level. And I'm telling you what, for Lily's time, I pay Lily more than that to do the profile review. So you're getting a bargain. I'm not making any money on this thing. Basically, we're not even covering costs. But we want to do this for you because we want you to be successful out there in the sugar dating world. It's treacherous out there. Alejandra's out there dating. I'm out there dating. We come together. We talk about these experiences. We are meeting some amazing people, and we are having some of the most fucked up experiences you can imagine, which we talk about on this show. But and Desiree's already laughing. She knows it's true because she's been down that road. We're going to get into that. But we want to coach you and help you through the whole process of finding the gold in that dirt or the hills or whatever, digging through all the BS to find the good ones. It's out there. Okay, well, let's get on to our guest. Desiree is one of our favorites. She's always got such great things to say. She sent me an email, said, hey, if you got any time, I want to go over all of these things. And I read the subjects or all the topics that she wants to go over. And I'm like, let's get you in ASAP. And you're coming to Sugarpalooza 5. What do you think?
I sure am. I can't wait.
Yeah. You've been talking to the girls, some old, some new. I say old, some of the previous guests and some of the new guests. What's the vibe you're getting so far?
We're getting a really good vibe. The repeats, we call ourselves the veterans.
The veterans, yeah.
The veterans and the rookies. And I just want to say before we get into things, if there's any potential sugar daddy sponsors out there listening, look, if you want to be in a situation where you have a room full of beautiful women fighting for your attention while you sit like a king on a throne just making your selection, then you need to find a way to be at this next Sugarpalooza.
Yeah, the girls always complain. Here's the one complaint. We throw a hell of a party. Everybody almost says it's life-changing for them. But their biggest complaint is, we want more men. We need more men.
That's very true.
That's a nice problem. But yeah, we need more men at the party. And this is more of a celebration of the podcast and the celebration of lifestyle. This is not, we're not trying to hook anybody up. We're not trying to make connections, but they happen. Then they happen just naturally. And you might meet somebody here who you just really, really vibe with. It's happened at every party. Yeah. Whether it lasts or not, but I know people, women and men, that have come to these parties and they're still communicating. They're still going on fabulous dates. Some have made the most tremendous connections and the chemistry. And, and here's the other crazy thing. I mean, girls, if you're into other girls, there's a couple that'll swing that way too. So,
without a doubt. That's not a question.
What we find is the girls are like, fuck it, there's not enough men here. We're just going to love each other.
Yep.
So it's a really good time. It's very relaxed. There's no pressure. You can do as much as you want, or you can just enjoy the scenery, enjoy the Arizona weather. It's going to be in November. You can enjoy the concert. It's all what you want to get out of it. But I'm telling you, people write us letters after every single party and go, that was life-changing. And to me, I'm just having a good time. But I get it. They're meeting other people there who have the same mindset, and they just feel instantly like family. Did you feel like that with a lot of people?
Definitely. And also just because of how kind of down low, unfortunately, this lifestyle is, there are very few opportunities like this where you can get in that safe space in that same room with men and women alike and be able to share stories, be able to share recommendations, advice, experience, and just have that camaraderie without that level of shame or embarrassment or, second guessing that you might have if you were, kind of out in the, the regular world, or there's just a little bit of privacy to it, an element of, openness where we can really just openly tell our stories, laugh about it, move on, without having to feel, like we have to hide who we are or what we're about or what we want.
Right. Okay. Let's get to your list because I think it's fabulous and I don't want to run out of time.
Sure.
You've been doing this for how long?
Well, now I'm about a year and 6 months.
Oh, you're still a baby in the sugar dating world, but you've seen enough.
I've seen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had an expedited process. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got thrown in the fire. I've been doing this for 8+ years, and I still see stuff that comes up. I'll show Alejandra, and I'm like, can you believe, what this message? Or, oh, here's one for you. Maybe you can explain this to me, Desiree, since you're on the female side. So there was a girl that I was talking to back in August. I was in Vegas a lot. Didn't really have time to meet her. I was traveling a lot. The conversation just fell dead. And then I get swamped with other messages, and it just kind of got buried. She messages me again a few weeks ago on Seeking. So I was like, I think I've already talked to this girl. So I look it up. Sure enough, we had this conversation. I go, oh, hey, sorry, I got busy. Let's try to redo, get going again. So anyway, we finally, after months, figured out a place for a meet and greet. So we're going to meet over at Postino's up in North Scottsdale, which is fine. I love that because you can have some bruschetta and wine, and it's just casual. It's not a full dinner. Yeah. It's a great meet and greet place. So I go back to her profile last night. So I'm supposed to meet her tonight at 7:00. I go to her profile last night, or I'm going through my messages, and I see it's off. It's got the little circle with the line through it, like they're gone. Well, if you guys don't know, and I've talked about this a lot, sometimes people deactivate their profile, and sometimes people block you, and it shows up exactly the same. So how do you know whether they blocked you or whether they just deactivated it, besides having a secondary account and looking up their name? Because I've done that before too.
I didn't know that. I thought when you saw the little circle with the slash, it was just they were
the
blocking.
It's either they blocked you or they deactivated their account, one or the other. So you can have a secondary account, look up their name. If it comes up, you've been blocked. If it doesn't come up, then they're just deactivated. Here's the other way. When you click inside the message and you see the message pop up, then you go up to the top, click on the little circle with the line through it. If it won't allow you to click on it, you've been blocked. If it'll allow you to click on it and then up comes a page like, hey, this person is no longer active, then they've deactivated their account or they're off temporarily. But if you scroll up, now you have to go inside the message. That's the way. You have to go inside the message, scroll up to their username, press on the sign, and if it doesn't even give you that option to press on it, you've been blocked. So that's the way. I figured it out because I had multiple accounts, and I was able to figure it out. 100%, that's exactly how you tell. So I'm blocked. She blocked me. I'm like, well, that's interesting because we just made
a plan
to meet. So I wonder if that plan is even
Did you guys switch over to phone or?
Yeah, we're on. Yeah, I got her off of Seeking as quick as I could.
Okay.
And then that way we could talk freely, and we were able to talk about allowance, PPM, kind of what we're looking for, all this stuff. So I'm like, well, I wonder if she's even going to meet me because I've been stood up 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was listening to that.
Yeah, it's getting rampant. And I like to consider myself one of the better Seeking daters. Like I kind of got this process down, and it still just baffles me.
Yeah, that's so strange. The standing up. Like I've never really done that.
So I'm thinking, okay, am I going to get stood up again? Because I'm not going to go unless she confirms. So I was going to text her this morning and go, hey, are we still on for 7? And see if I get a response. I'm getting into the shower this morning. My phone beeps. I look down and she says, hey, are we still on for tonight?
Okay. So that should be okay. Because there's
I go, yes, I've got you in my calendar. And it's funny because I was just about to confirm with you. So that takes care of that. She's like, okay, I'll see you tonight. So then I'm asking Alejandra, I'm like, do I confront her now? Like ask her now, why the hell did you block me? Or do I just wait to do it in person? Or do I even say anything at all? And here was my question for you. Why would somebody block you? Because this is not the first time this has happened. Why would somebody block you even if they are planning on seeing you?
The only time I would ever do something like that or think about something like that is if they just don't want you to see their activity or something like that moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing. I mean, if they're still moving with you on your external messenger, then, that's what matters. So I wouldn't even pay any attention to it.
Yeah, but for me, I like to go back into their profile, read what they say because I forget. Yeah. And try to pick up something that, maybe I can bring up during the meet and greet or conversations. And sometimes I forget what they even look like. She didn't send me a picture through my text because it was on her profile. Now I can't even go to her profile. Well, I've got a second account. I could pull it up there. But I can't go to her profile from my main account and even look at her pictures. So I'm going to be sitting there wondering, okay, I know she was blonde and I know she's about 5'2". So now I'm going to be looking around going.
That is unusual. I mean, and if it's something that's really wearing at you, you should just ask too.
Yeah, I'm going to figure out a way to slip it in.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Here's the other real life scenario. There is a girl that I've met and we've dated 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times. Great time. Matter of fact, we're going out tomorrow night, going to take her to a comedy show. She's blocked me, but she blocked me weeks ago, like after we started dating. And again, I told Alejandro, I'm like, this is so weird. Why are people blocking me?
It has to be about the activity. That's the only thing.
They just don't want me to see that
Sometimes
they're active.
I've heard of that a few times, not necessarily blocking, but maybe hiding their profile or because if some people don't, like if you don't have the premium account, like I do, where you can go in. So if I was in that situation where I didn't want somebody I was currently going on dates with to see me online, offline, I could just go ahead and, go through the settings and do that. But if they didn't pay for that, then the only way they could do that is to block.
Okay, so there is a hide function?
Yeah, there is, if you're a premium.
Okay, so I need to experiment with that. So I'm going to have to experiment with that to see if somebody hides you, if it basically is the same as them blocking you, even though they didn't actually block you.
Because if they hide you and you already have messages going, then they should still show up normally within the message, within the message feature. The only thing that's hidden is that if you went to search in the women, you would not see them. You would not see their profile just in the overall selection. But if you had open messages,
so if they hide me, then it shouldn't have that symbol.
Right.
It shouldn't have it.
Right.
I'm gonna have to experiment with that a little bit. And okay, I'll get back to you guys on that one because that's good information to have. Yeah, I'm baffled. I don't understand it. Why people block you, but they still want to see you.
Yeah, I haven't really done that, so I would just do the hiding.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, this is why I continue to be out there and date, even though Alejandra and I are doing great. I do enjoy the process still. And I felt like, and I talked to her, and when we were exclusive for 7 months, I said, I feel like I'm getting rusty. I feel like I'm not out there meeting people, and I'm kind of losing it a little bit.
I think that's a good thing. I want to be rusty.
Yeah. Well, no, we're fine. And you know what? Actually, it's funny because it's taken the pressure off of the relationship for us because it was getting a little too serious. And not that I'm opposed to going back there or even settling down and having kids with her, but it just took that pressure off for the time being, and it's really helped our relationship.
Yeah, I know it's going to make a big difference, and then you can and then that's going to really bring you closer, kind of revive things too, unintentionally.
Yeah. Okay. Enough of my bullshit. What's going on over there?
Well, yeah, I have a number of categories, and these are based off of Patreon questions and the WhatsApp group questions and just general activity I've seen I've gotten into TikTok lately as well. So there's a lot of so-called sugar baby experts on TikTok. And so what I focus on TikTok is not what the experts are saying, but what the comments are saying. And the same kind of questions just keep coming up and coming up. So I had some answers. So I figured, okay, well, I'll get on the podcast and I'll give some of my answers instead of having to repeat them over and over. Can just say them now and they can help some people.
Well, the feedback I get about you from the girls in the group chat is that you always have really good advice.
That's great to hear.
No, I'm hearing that. They're like, sometimes Desiree's quiet, sometimes she's on there, but she really does a great job answering these questions. And I think it's because you're a little bit older, you're a little more experienced. And for our I got a lot of new listeners. Give us a quick background of you.
Sure.
You're how old?
I'm 42.
Okay.
Yep, just recently almost said the wrong age. I just recently had a birthday last month. So
Well, happy birthday.
thank you very much. Getting used to the 42.
Yeah.
I am from Texas.
Yeah.
So, and I've been in Phoenix almost about a year now. So still kind of fresh to the Phoenix area, but seems like it's been much longer than that. So, I did sugar dating about 10 years ago, back when it was seeking arrangement, took a break, got into real life, and then I've been back, like I said earlier, for about a year and 6 months, back on seeking.
So you've had a lot more than a year and a half experience.
Yeah, technically, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Take just more my fresh experience.
Your newer experiences.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I had a lot of success pretty early on. I have a fairly wealthy primary sugar daddy right now, so that's still going fine. And then I'm active on the sites. My current guy his health is kind of in and out, and our arrangement doesn't call for us to see each other very much. So as far as kind of any sort of intimacy or any sort of regular concerts, events, I kind of have to have somebody else for that.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'm currently in the search for, and actively dating and entertaining potential benefactors for the more of a regular basis.
Okay. All right, good. Well, that's a good baseline.
Yes, it is.
For our new listeners.
Yes. So some of the categories I have, and obviously we won't get to all of them. I have strategies for landing your first SD, ways to negotiate and ask for money, tips for getting off the app quickly and onto your first meet and greet. And I have a little section here for special tactics for, quote, older sugar babies like myself to kind of level the playing field and kind of get through some of those barriers and have the same opportunities as some of the younger girls. That's always a big one.
I remember I got a message from somebody and they go, I'm 42. Should I even bother? That was the whole message.
You should bother.
Right. You're not too old.
Oh, yes. And you can send those folks to me, by the way. Anyone who says that, you can send them to my email. And I already have a whole breakdown. So as far as the number one thing is, a lot of women getting into this for the first time, they're asking, okay, how do I get that first sugar daddy, that first SD? Like, how do I just get this kicked off? So first off, the way I got into it was I started off as a travel companion, as a travel-only SB. So I would go to Seeking, Miss Travel, and I basically would just set my profile up to where I was presenting myself as more of a travel companion.
Really?
So definitely.
I don't think I knew that.
That's how I found Mr. Billionaire.
Okay.
Yep. So I started out with that. And so some people will say, well, how do I go on Seeking and find men that are looking for that? So a lot of them will have it specifically in their profile. Sometimes it'll be specific. They'll say, traveling to Italy, September 15th through September 27th, looking for a travel companion. Or it'll just be more general where maybe their business calls for them to travel from one city to the next here and there. And so they like to kind of line someone up in these different cities. So when you're going to the search feature, this is particularly helpful if you have a premium account. So if you're considering getting one, you probably should.
How much is a premium account right now?
Mine is like $19.99 a month.
Okay, $20 a month.
Yeah, but they offer little specials. So, I always keep my eye open for those, and I always try to get on top of those specials. So $19.99 or more, but it pays off in spades. So if you're searching the men's profiles, at the very bottom, there's a filter where you can put keywords. So in the keywords, I'll put travel, companion, I'll put trips, I'll put vacation, I'll put, some sort of keyword that's related to traveling or companion or something like that. So that way the results that you pull up will actually show you primarily men that are looking for that. So the reason I suggest this is because it's kind of an expedited way to get involved with a sugar daddy, because a lot of times they're looking to move really fast. Some women are a little hesitant about it because you are technically traveling with somebody pretty much right off the bat. But in my experience, I was able to have a couple of meet and greets with that particular guy before we went on our trip. And then now it is 8 months later, he's still my SD. And we started off traveling.
Wow. Where did you go?
Went to Laguna Beach. We went to Las Vegas and then actually Spain.
Wow. How was the Spain trip?
Very nice.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yep. And private jet, by the way. So that was really nice.
Moving on up.
Yep. And I was scared at first, just like a lot of women are, like about, the idea of going so far away with someone. But I mean, it really turned out fine.
Yeah.
We got comfortable with each other in advance, and then just everything just worked out. So I just really want to keep pushing this one. I know I sound like a broken record, but starting out, being willing to start out with a very temporary setup. Like what I do right now is some men come to Phoenix for business, maybe once a month, twice a month, once a quarter. And so I target those guys. So that keeps me free because, I'd like to be available for my main guy because he kind of pops up randomly. So I like to try to be available for him. I have a full-time job I've got to do. And then, my whole life that I'm just, I'm running. So these guys that come into town for prescribed periods of time, those are the easier ones to kind of quickly land if you're just trying to get experience under your belt, trying to get a decent PPM. I've also found out that the travel guys, they tend to be a little more generous with the actual money that you get. So for example, the first trip that I went on to Laguna Beach, the travel was covered, everything, of course, taken care of. But then I got $10,000 flat payment.
Really?
For shopping. Yeah, but I only used a little bit of it for shopping.
Yeah, you're like,
I keep the rest of it. I kept the rest of it for bills.
Mama needs to pay some bills, put that in the bank.
Yeah, so usually when they're in that travel mindset, they're already kind of, their budget's a little bit more set because they already were planning to go on the trip. They're already, how even normal people spend a little more when they're on vacation. So it reduces that nervousness of like figuring out PPM and figuring out how much per night. And am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? It's just a flat rate for the whole trip. And then, it's a done deal. And then if you go on the trip and then you end up liking them, then it'll be like what happened to me, where next thing you know, they're messaging you again saying, hey, I'm going to, Napa Valley in 2 months. Like I recently met a guy who we met here when he came to visit, and he's already messaged me saying he's going to Napa for a work conference, and he wanted to have me come meet him up there and just kind of be his companion when he's not doing work business.
Yeah, it's always enjoyable when you sharing your experience. Yeah. And that's what men like to do. And they just don't have somebody to share the experience. I could go on a fabulous trip to Hawaii and it would be amazing. But to see somebody else's face and their joy that they're having and the excitement that they're having on that same trip is worth a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they really are.
It's much more fulfilling.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, with the guys that I've traveled with, they're pleased as punch. When you walk into some big suite and you're wide-eyed and you're like, whoa, they laugh. They're like, wow, she's really enjoying this, because for them it's no big deal, you know. But for us, it's really an opportunity not only for you to travel and see things, but there's money to be made there, and then also a potential connection that could, like in my case, could parlay into something more.
Yeah, I love sharing. I love sharing experiences. Yeah, it's more than the money. It's something that you'll remember all your life. Like I've taken Alejandra to places. Well, I've taken her to San Diego a few times, but just seeing her face when we go into Coronado Hotel, the classic thing there.
I love Coronado
going
Hotel.
down to Gas Lamp and just seeing her face as she sees all those great restaurants and bars and the nightlife. I already experienced it, but just seeing somebody's face as they're, kind of finding this new joy and this new excitement.
Especially somebody that is a good person, that works hard, that truly is going to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. The same thing as when I've taken a few girls there now, because every one of them have just expressed what a once in a lifetime experience it is. But the dining in the dark experience in Vegas at Blackout Dining, it doesn't sound like much, but every time I've taken somebody there, they're like, whoa, I did not expect that. That was incredible. The food was amazing. I can't believe I ate in the dark, and they talk about it for years. Now I've been multiple times now, but I love treating people to new, exciting experiences like that.
Something different, something special. And that's what.
So you're finding those guys.
Oh, yeah. And that's what led me to get back into sugar dating in the first place. Because like I said, I have a job. So I'm not the one who's asking for rent on the first. But being new to Phoenix as I was at that time, I mean, now it's like restaurants like Wren and Wolf and Maple and Ash. And I mean, I've been there, like, it's no big deal. It's like going to Burger King now, because that's what, I know that sounds crazy, but that's the guys I'm dealing with, that's there every day. So that's crazy to me, and it was a way for me, again, I know I keep using the word expedite, but it was a way for me to very quickly become acclimated with the city. And actually, I'm working on moving to the Scottsdale area from, the area I live in, Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
I'm truly actually in Scottsdale. And the whole purpose I'm doing that is so I can be closer for the dates. So I'm not coming from so far away, but
You're finding most of the men are in the East Valley?
yeah, Scottsdale
Yeah.
specifically. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where the places I like to go, places I like to shop, wherever I like to be at, that's where I like to go. So I want to be closer.
It does seem like most of Alejandra's meet and greets are in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that I think about it.
About 90% of them for me. And that's fine because
Interesting.
I like to go there.
Yeah.
So now the hard part's just pinning down a rental. So I'm, dealing with all these potential rentals. I have about a couple months left to go. So
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
okay, so next thing, and this might seem like a no-brainer, but being very open on age, race, ethnicity, and location. That's one that a lot of women kind of raise their eyebrows about. Like, we have in our mind this idea of what we want our sugar daddy to look like. And if you're really interested in, especially if you're trying to break into sugar dating, you've got to be open-minded. You can't fixate on looks, appearance, height. He needs to be this, he needs to be that. You kind of have to transition your mindset from being on Bumble or Facebook dating or even Hinge and shift over and say, okay, look, you're going into a more competitive market now, a more competitive world. So for every time you send a message to a guy, he's getting like 1,000 messages. So you really have to work hard to differentiate yourself. But if you're not prepared to do that, then you have to focus on the men who there may not be as many women going after them. So that's going to be the older ages. My main guys are always 65 and up. That's, so there's some women who cringe at the idea of some guy who's 65 and up. But let me tell you, a lot of these guys, they're in great shape. They're very physical. They're funny. They tend to be more established in their careers. And a lot of these older guys, they truly wealthy. And that's the key. So I notice when I'm chatting with other sugar babies, there's always this repetitive complaint about he didn't really have any money. He was a salt daddy, or actually my new term, air daddy, where they literally don't have anything.
Air daddy? I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh yeah, I just coined that one. Okay. And so that I keep hearing that complaint. And so then I ask him, well, show me the guy. It's some handsome guy. Well, how old is he? 42. Well, where does he? No. You got to step way out of your comfort zone. And I can assure you, especially when it comes to looks, when a guy is providing for you and taking care of you and happy that you're happy, you grow into that attraction. That the way that they look, the way they sound, what they do, all of that truly falls into the background. And it's happened to me multiple times. And you really just, you start to get their sense of humor. They talk to you about their business. You fall into a nice camaraderie. So just like you don't want a sugar daddy to box you into a corner because of your looks, even though they have a right to, because that's the way it works. Be open-minded. And, I can't stress that enough. And I also want to make another note about location. I notice a lot of women, when they do their filters, they're looking in a certain location. They have it, very close. They don't want to travel. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. And that's all well and good. But when you're trying to break into this and you're trying to get that experience, or you're trying to land, a truly solid, caring, kind, wealthy sugar daddy, you have to throw some of that out of the window. So location-wise, I've had a lot of success recently opening up my location, because a lot of these guys, they'll happily travel here.
Okay, when
They'll
you
happily
mean
fly
opening
you
up
out.
your location, not just to the vicinity you're in, but to neighboring cities and states, or the entire country? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I do it in phases, so you could do kind of open it up to the Southwest. Like, I regularly search in California, New Mexico, Washington, Nevada, Texas even.
Yeah.
Just kind of opening up regionally first if you're not quite comfortable. And then sometimes, I talk to guys from Florida, New York, wherever, because a lot of these guys, sometimes you can't even tell by the profile, they're in Phoenix, or even Scottsdale. They're here multiple times a month for business. I recently met a guy who's into poker. So he comes here to go to the casinos. He goes to Vegas often, and then he'll come back through Arizona just for the purpose of seeing me. I would never have known that by his profile. I would never have known that if I hadn't just taken a shot in the dark and just I go between expanding the location on my own profile, like literally changing it or adding it, or when I'm just doing my search feature, I just open up the search, I take it off of Phoenix, and I might, just put 1,000 miles or 500 miles or, just playing with it. But that really opens up the door, especially if you live in what I call a challenged location where the population of wealthy men is low, or if you're in a Las Vegas or Los Angeles setup where the competition is just very high and you just don't want to get lost in the shuffle. You don't be afraid to open things up for cities or states where you might be more of a star there. Because if a potential SD is serious, he'll have no problem coming to visit you if you're more comfortable, or even flying you out to see him, or setting up a mid-level vacation for you where you both meet in the middle.
Now, do you message these guys first?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, because a lot of the girls, they get a little bit shy and they're just waiting for the messages to come in.
No, and that's actually down here.
Okay.
But I'll just go ahead and say it. But the messaging first, that's like the main advice that I always give, and I'm blown away with shock with the amount of sugar babies that I meet that tell me that either they never do it, or they never have done it, or they scoff. They refuse.
I would never.
Yeah. And I actually had one tell me that the reason she doesn't message is because if she messages first, she'll never be sure if they really like her or if they really would have been interested in her on their own. She says that if a guy comes to her on their own, she feels their intentions are more pure and that she's more sure of their interest. And I understand that, but I don't agree at all.
Yeah, I don't agree either.
You have to see this as a competition. You have to see this as competitive. And like I said earlier on in the podcast, you have to switch your mindset from, if I go to Bumble right now, or if I go to Tinder or wherever, I'm going to have every guy on earth falling at my feet, begging for my attention. That's that world. Switch over to sugar dating world. It's a whole nother ball game.
It is another, and that's why the men, we like it so much.
Okay, right. So then the men have the upper hand there, and I think a lot of the women know that, like in their gut, but their mindset just won't switch over. So that's why a lot of some of the women do like my advice, because it's just more matter of fact. It's not sugar coated. It's not all the little sweet and syrupy. It's like the real, what I like to call the brass tacks. So you have to realize that everything you do on these sites is a competition. Even if you feel like you look great, I've made a lot of changes to my appearance, and in the regular world, I would have no problem, but in the sugar dating world, you can't just shift physically, but you also have to shift mentally. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of the women, is that mental shift. So messaging men first is not only critical, it's absolutely required, especially if you're looking for that higher dollar whale type of catch, like I was able to, like I said before, luck upon quite quickly after getting on Seeking. But I was only able to catch that whale, putting aside looks, putting aside age, putting aside many, many things to give that a chance and make that work. So being willing to just be flexible across all accounts, being willing to message first. And I wanted to make a note about the messaging first. Some women are saying, well, I don't know what to say. I don't want to sound mechanical. I don't want it to be transactional. Having scripts prepared, I think, is always a good thing. Obviously, they don't need to sound script-like, but if at first, just until you get comfortable, you want to have a couple of, in the notes in my phone, I have a couple of paragraphs kind of saved, various responses, various starters, because I know a lot of men don't like, hey, a lot of men don't like this.
I get so many of those.
Yeah.
Hi, hey, how are you? That's it.
So having some scripts that don't sound scripty, especially when you're just getting started, because remember, a lot of this advice right now I'm giving is when you're just getting into it. Once you find your groove, once you get comfortable, you probably won't really need scripts, but just to keep you, in the mix and keep you in the race, you want to have some good starting commentary. So don't be afraid to have some prepared scripts.
Well, there's a lot of times I'll get messages from somebody very attractive, or somebody that I'm attracted to. And I'm like, I've never seen their profile on Seeking. It's just somehow I've missed it this whole time. So
yeah, you can easily
to your
slip
point,
through the cracks.
and then I'm like, hey, how are you? I'll share photos and let's talk offline and we can talk freely. And then, then that's the beginning.
Absolutely.
I would have never messaged that girl because I just never saw her.
Yeah. And there's just a lot of activity. And then also, I know recently some other sugar babies have said there's been some little weird glitches and some issues they're having on Seeking with their search filters. So in order to kind of skip over those challenges, if you're doing the searching and you're doing the messaging and the viewing, then that's just going to give you an upper hand, and you won't have to worry so much about, are they seeing you? Are you visible? Is your profile properly exposed? Am I showing up where I want to show up? Of course, those are valid points, but that element of proactivity is something that's necessary. I know there was a young lady recently on the Patreon who was asking about how to break in and how to get attention being age 40s and up. And that's one of them. You do have to be prepared to do a little bit more elbow greasing, as I call it. Just like I've said on my previous episodes, being a minority, that's just automatic. But, ethnicity aside, age, is also what I call a challenged category. So when you're in that special age group, you do have to do a little bit more extra work, just like if you're going to a regular job interview. If you're older, sometimes that makes it harder to get jobs. I see this exactly like you're getting a job.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Definitely. And so one other thing I wanted to mention about kind of getting in for your first sugar daddy, never come across like you've never had a sugar daddy.
Act like you've been there before.
Right. Just like I heard, act like you've been in the end zone before. So always, and I'm not saying lie and whatever, but it's just like they say, it's easier to find a job when you have a job. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the sugar world.
Yeah,
always approach this as if you've had a couple of arrangements before, that all those ended, you're starting fresh, you're getting back into it, you're looking for a new arrangement, you're excited, you're experienced, but always come across as, experienced. Just like when we're looking for sugar daddies, most sugar babies will say they're always prefer an experienced SD. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's probably the same on the other side.
Men don't care as much.
Right.
It's funny because they say when women look at men, they want to know, do you have a good job? Are you experienced? Are you mature? And then when men look at women, they're like, they don't care if she works at McDonald's if they're attracted to her. But that is a good point. Fake it till you make it. I've lived my life by that motto. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten real estate clients when I was just starting out, and they're like, "Hey, I want to do this and this." I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, no problem." And then I'm like, "Oh fuck, how am I going to do this?" Yeah, yep. I got to figure this out on the fly. YouTube is a great source. The internet's a great source. There's all kinds of great sources, but I can't tell you how many times I've agreed to do something for a client or for a friend or something, and I really had no idea what I was about to do. But I learned on the fly, and you just got to step off the ledge and do it. And you may not succeed, but that's part of it. But you're going to go, oh, okay, I get it now. I screwed that one up, but I'll be better the next time. Yeah. So, and that's just a life lesson, whether you're sugar dating or career or anything. Just don't be afraid to fake it until you make it.
Absolutely. And the reason I have it on this list is more for the protection of the sugar baby. I find you're less likely to be taken advantage of if you act as if you've had arrangements before. I have some guys
that's good.
Yeah. So if they see that if you're making it very obvious that you're brand new, you've never done it, they're going to more likely try to take you for a ride.
Yeah. The men will do that.
Right. So that's why I have that on here. It's just a kind of a little added layer, a thin veil of protection there. So they'll know that, they'll believe, hey, she's this isn't her first rodeo. She's had guys provide this, provide that before. She knows what's up. So I can't try to play some game of, let me give you $100.
Men will try to get away
or some mess
with as much as they can get away with.
Yeah. So just like you said, act like you've been in the end zone and just carry on. Don't make a big production about it and just move right on along through the conversation.
Great.
Definitely. Yeah. And so I wanted to quickly just touch on some of the, I know we're running short on time here, the negotiations and the money. That's a huge one. And that's one big thing that not only in our group chats, but also Patreon, TikTok, Reddit, wherever, you're always going to hear, how do I ask for this? What do I do? How do I do that? How do I do that? So what I wanted to say is what I said before, focusing on sugar daddies that have experience. That's the number one way to kick this off. And you may say, what does that have to do with negotiation? It has everything to do with negotiation because it gives you a lifeline and an easy way to break into it. The first thing when I start a conversation, I always ask is, do you have experience? being a sugar daddy? Do you have current arrangement experience, past arrangements, something like that, just to get them talking about, if briefly, about their experience. Oh yes, I've had numerous sugar babies. It's been very successful. Or, oh yeah, I just ended a 2-year arrangement and it went great, but she decided to do other things. And then that opens the door for you to then say, okay, so how was that arrangement structured? Was it PPM? Was it an allowance? Okay, how much did she get paid? And, there's this fear about asking too soon or upfront about the financial piece. And, that's just one of those things you have to just kind of go right into it. I find that, you just get it knocked out right off the bat.
It's like pulling the Band-Aid off. You just got to rip it off. And sometimes the conversation goes smoothly and sometimes it doesn't, but you've got to do it.
Yep. And there's ways to do it. I know in our group chat, we go through actual scripts. We go through actual comments. We do, people give little screenshots to each other to save in their phone, all that camaraderie. But that just relates to what I said earlier. Don't be afraid to have a script. If you need a script to help you remember how to open up the conversation, how to start the dialogue, do your research on the PPM numbers. Be prepared to answer, because sometimes they may ask you directly, okay, so how much PPM do you want? And so this is one piece I wanted to say. Go ahead and go with a range. It's okay to give a range. I got some good advice from another sugar baby once that she said when she meets in person, she tends to have better negotiating power because she presents better in person. So they're usually very pleased with her appearance and her personality, and then the pockets feel a little looser than had she agreed to a PPM number before. So what she'll do is she'll establish a range and then say, we'll flesh out specifics. So if the SD is okay with the range, then at least that point you're getting in the range you want, and then in person, then you can go ahead and
I've been in that situation where we agreed on kind of an area that we were comfortable with, and then when she showed up and presented herself, and I was having such a great time, I was happy to give her more, either voluntarily or she just kind of slipped it in like, hey, I know we agreed to this, but I really would appreciate just something extra. I've got some things coming up. And I'm like, hey, no problem.
Yeah.
Like, you showed up for me, I'm going to show up for you.
It works out on both sides.
Interesting, yeah.
And then that way you've got your range. And then another thing that has been successful for me is asking about a sugar budget. And I just recently heard this actually from a TikTok quote expert. And so what she'll do if she's feeling anxiety about the numbers, or like in my case where I deal with guys who live all over the United States, allowances and PPMs are going to be all over the fence. So what I'll ask is, what's your sugaring budget per month? Do you have a sugar budget? What's your budget? So you're more just getting a feel for their range instead of you being necessarily, as the sugar baby, on the spot for providing a range, which that's fine too. But sometimes I try to just leap ahead of it and just be like, okay, you have experience with arrangements. Okay, what's your general budget? So that also gets them off the hook from giving me a number, but then that forces the sugar daddy to give me a range. So then right off the bat, I know, is their number anywhere in the area I'm interested in? Is it close enough? Because I'm pretty flexible with my range because I get a significant allowance that's pretty much set, and I have a job and all that. So if I really like a guy and we really have a connection and the number's lower, sometimes I'll agree to it. I'm totally fine with that. A case-by-case basis, of course. Just like how some men are okay with paying more than they're comfortable with once they see the woman and once they establish a camaraderie. So trying to get a range, trying to get a budget, just helps before you meet them. Make sure you guys are on the same page, but then you can finalize numbers at a later time.
Okay, but let me give a caveat here. There is a fine line, because I've also been in an opposite situation where I've agreed to a certain area and they didn't really show up to be as advertised. And I'm still there and I'm like, oh, now I'm on the hook for this. And then I've been in situations where she's like, yeah, this is going great. You want to go back to your place? I'm like, sure, yeah, I'd love to. And then she's like, yeah, it's going to be $800 extra. I'm like, what?
No, that's insane.
Wait a minute. Now this is getting now you're pissing me off. So I've had that situation. So
yeah, that's doing too much.
Yeah, you got to be reasonable.
Absolutely.
And
on both sides.
And you know what I did? I said, you know what? You're very attractive. I just don't like the way this negotiation went. Here's what I gave her. Like, here's what I originally agreed to, and then we can just forego the rest. I'm good.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree to anything like that. I feel like, and sometimes there's some sugar babies that say that, the men sometimes even will ask for more than what they originally said they wanted as far as within the agreement. So I know it can happen on both sides, but I really think from the woman's perspective, we should do our best job to try to keep to what was agreed to. And then, honestly, if there's a mismatch, then it's best to just go separate ways.
Okay, here's a scenario that's happened recently to somebody I know.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
She met a guy, and they agreed to him out, and they had a great time. And then the next time, she saw him, again the same amount the next time. So anyway, they were intimate, but then he wanted to go a second round, and she's like, "Man, I'm tired." And he's like, "Oh," and so he talked her into the second round. So then it comes like for another date, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to go 2 rounds." She's like, "No, this is going to be extra. Like if we're going second round, you got to fork up a little extra because this is more than I bargained for, right?"
Oh wow, I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, and you know what? He happily said, "Oh, absolutely," and he happily gave her more.
I guess a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Right. But she was like, "Man, this is exhausting." And now he wants to go again. So anyway, I don't know if anybody had been in that situation, what your advice to them would be, but
yeah, I've definitely been in that situation, but I didn't ask for extra because I just feel like if it's
the men
night,
start
there's
pushing
be a
it.
couple of things
The
going
men
on.
start pushing it. The more they just want a little bit more, a little bit more, and then she's like, "Wait a minute, now this is going way beyond what we originally agreed."
Now, if they're asking for some special fetish based stuff, then that's where I'll be like, okay, wait a minute, we didn't but
right?
more than one round. To me, I think that's all right with the initial agreed upon.
Well, she's getting more. She's getting a lot more actually, and she's happy. Like she's like, fine. Well, I'm up for 2 rounds now because it takes like 3 hours.
Oh, oh, I know. Especially when there's pharmaceuticals involved.
Yeah, right. So, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we still have some time left. What else you got on your list there?
Well, I did want to make a comment about the
let's talk
female
about that.
condom type.
We've been talking about that a few.
Yeah, I just heard Sugar Daddy Dwayne
times.
mentioned it, and we've been talking about it in the group chat. So I wanted to, and Lily made sure to tell me. She reminded me, make sure to talk about it when you go on Thursday. So
So Desiree brought these female condoms. They're called FC2, female condom 2, I guess, and they're large. Look, you have one that's
I have
open.
one. I've opened
let's
one.
open it up. I want to.
Yes.
I
And
have never
I did a little video.
seen these.
I did a little video showing of it on the in the chat.
So basically, it just looks like a large condom.
Yes. And here you go. It's not used. There you go. It's just
Wow, that's a Magnum, double Magnum XL.
So it basically looks like a big giant fat condom.
It
It comes
does.
pre-lubricated.
Okay.
And so basically it just goes on inside. You squeeze the bottom ring and then you insert it. And then the big opening just kind of stays kind of right at the front of the opening.
Okay.
So it's a little hassle to get on, but once it's in, it's in. And just like Sugar Daddy Dwayne said, you can put one in and kind of just go to town, do different positions, do different things. It stays in place. Might need a little lube from time to time, depending on how long you're going. I find that sensation-wise, it's extremely similar, just like what Sugar Daddy Dwayne said. And then for the men, that's probably the biggest. That's the only reason I've even started getting involved with them. But for the men, that's probably the biggest benefit because you don't have to worry about anything tight around you. You don't have to worry about losing feeling. You don't have to worry about any performance issues. It just gives a lot more freedom, and you can do different positions. It really does do a good job of staying in place, and it just gives you a lot more freedom.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah,
Well,
and you can't just buy them at the store. You have
No.
women have to go to the doctor to get them.
Really?
But I was able to get a hold of some samples.
Why is that?
Yeah, that right now they just have it where you have to have like a prescription. They treat it like birth control. So you have to kind of go to your doctor and get a prescription, but there are some little ways to get samples.
Maybe that's
and I
why
found out a way to
people
get
are saying
samples.
it's hard to get them. Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so those are for you to.
Well, I will try these out, and I will give you guys my feedback on it because
Yes.
I am one of these that I have just the shape of my penis is it just doesn't lend itself well to condoms. And I don't mind using a condom. I get it.
Yeah, well, this will alleviate all of that because it really doesn't.
I have a really hard time with them.
Yeah, it puts a little bit more of the burden on the female, but once you kind of get the hang of the insertion, and like I said, I did a little video, not of me inserting, but I did a video for the ladies because they wanted to know what it looked like, how you do it, how it operates. So a lot of the girls were really interested and wanted to try it. Did
you initiate this or did the man initiate it?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found out about it through a TikTok expert.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
So I decided I found a big pack of samples actually on eBay.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, very good. I appreciate you bringing that in because
So try it out.
That's been a subject for a while now. We're trying to find better ways, right?
Yeah.
And because men fight it. That's one of the things that men will request or try to sneak their little penis right in there without using a condom. And some women just kind of let it slide and others go, hey.
Yeah, this just throws another option in the mix, and it gives the woman a little more control over things, and then also it does alleviate any sort of performance-based issues that a male condom might present.
Well, I'm excited to actually try this because if this works for me, it'll help the situation a lot. I guess there's just a little prep in the beginning, but that's hopefully it doesn't kill the mood. But there's ways that you can keep the mood going.
Yeah, and usually what I do is I just put it in well before we even get started.
Yeah,
I just go ahead and make sure it's already in, and then just go on about my day. Yeah.
Well, Desiree, we are very thankful that you came in today. I'm upset with Lily. She's getting to see one of my favorite artists, and that's Dua Lipa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's at the iHeartRadio Festival whatever in Las Vegas.
Okay. Oh, nice.
I know. I wanted to go, but I couldn't fit it into my schedule.
I'm sure she'll have plenty of pictures for us.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And the artists that are performing Friday night when her and Trucker, and I think she's got some family members too going, are really fantastic. I'd love to see them, but I just couldn't fit it into my schedule. So that's why she's not here today. But we thank you for filling in. Always great information from you. I absolutely love what you've done with the advice that you're giving to people. I couldn't agree more. And the girls respect what you have to say so much, and they really, really appreciate it. And we're getting excited to see you at the party.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Yeah. Now that you've experienced one, you kind of know what to expect.
Oh, yeah. We got it all down.
And a lot less questions for this one. We've got a lot of return guests from the third one and the fourth one, but some of our new guests, they're going to be a lot of fun.
And they're really excited.
And it's kind of one of those things where you know what's going to happen, and so you're going to get to see their excitement and their joy that they're going to have. You kind of already can feel.
Yeah, you can already sense their,
what they're about to enter, and you're like, oh, girl, you're going to have the time of your life.
Oh, yeah,
so it's fun being experienced. Like I went to, and I liken this to, I went to see Tim McGraw in concert on Saturday night in Vegas. This was years ago, and I took my ex-wife. And it was such a great show, but I didn't really know what was happening. And there were some surprises, and I didn't know all the songs and this and that. Then I got home. This was Saturday. Then I got home on Monday, and I'm at work, and I'm in the restaurant business at this time. And one of the reps from the food companies go, hey, I've got a couple extra tickets to our suite tonight for the Tim McGraw concert. Do you want them? And I go, oh my God, I just saw him 2 days ago, but I would love to see him again.
Yeah.
So I took my wife. We enjoyed that show so much better the second time because we were familiar. We knew the songs. We knew the surprises. We were like looking at everybody else, seeing their joy in their face and the surprises.
Way to experience it. Yeah.
And so for me, it was so much more pleasurable the second time.
Yep.
And I think you're going to find a little bit of the same experience, and you're going to be able to see and watch how everybody else reacts to the suites.
Oh, yeah.
When you walk into the suite and you walk into the pre-party, and you kind of already know what it's going to look like, but everybody's like, oh my God, this is amazing, or the suite at the hotel for the W. So I look forward to that. I can't wait.
I'll be ready.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Weather be different, which will be great.
Oh, yeah. Good weather. Yeah. November is paradise in Arizona. And I was telling somebody, like, watch it rain the whole week. And then but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Well, if you guys want to share your crazy sugar dating stories, go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. And certainly we are still accepting applications for the party, and you'll find it there at the party tab. And then again, sugar daddies, we never have enough men. These girls want more men. And
Come get us.
we need you to show up. So get a hold of me at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com. All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.